Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of WEvolve.
And today we're going to be talking about dopamine, everything about dopamine, what it is, what it does, where it's produced,
And we did a couple episodes on the different drugs, and how it relates to dopamine. So definitely watch that if you're interested. And this is kind of like a wrap up summary in a way, and like what really dopamine is.
yeah. You don't have to watch those. This is not like a part 3 of them. It's a completely different episode,
Yeah.
but we did talk about how substances affect dopamine. This is more like what does dopamine do. So
Yeah.
if you want, you can watch it. If not, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to watch it.
You don't have to watch it if you don't want to, but you can watch it if you're interested. Okay, what is dopamine?
So dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It's not a hormone, for those of you guys wondering. But it is a neurotransmitter that acts as a chemical messenger between neurons in the brain and the peripheral nervous system.
And it's like not considered like a feel-good hormone, or I said hormone. It's not a hormone, feel-good chemical, and it talks about like motivation, reward processing, motor control, learning, and cognition. That's all related to dopamine.
So dopamine is primarily synthesized in the midbrain by the dopaminergic neurons.
Yeah.
I definitely messed that up. But there are a smaller population of dopamine neurons that reside in the hypothalamus, which if you watched her female endocrine system, the hypothalamus is essentially in charge of releasing hormones to your...
Yeah, and the one that dopamine is related to is actually prolactin. That's when women can give breast milk to their babies.
Yep, so dopamine pathways project widely throughout the brain. So it's in the striatum, frontal cortex, and the limbic system. Limbic system is not actually an organ. It's like a system of other organs, like the amygdala, the what'd you say that one time?
Amygdala.
The amygdala, the hypothalamus, hippocampus, all that stuff. So within neurons, dopamine is synthesized from the amino acid tyrosine and acts by binding to specific dopamine receptors D135 to influence neural circuits. So when is dopamine even released? So dopamine is I don't like to call it a feel-good chemical because dopamine is released pain and pleasure. So if you're feeling pleasure, like when you eat food or when you do something that's fun, you get dopamine release. But also if you feel pain, you also get dopamine release, which is kind of interesting. I think a lot of people don't know that. Like dopamine is it's like a balance scale.
I didn't know that.
So, like I said, dopamine levels increase in response to rewarding or reinforcing stimuli, like I mentioned, obtaining food, social interactions, positive outcomes, and then learning and motivation. I think dopamine increases, it's like 5x. Don't quote me on that. It's either 3x or 5x when you get food.
Wow.
Yeah. So I saw
I'm so hungry.
I saw the study, and they took a rat that they took out dopamine or something. They like regulated it, and they took a rat that has normal dopamine levels, gave it food, and the one that didn't have dopamine levels didn't even eat the food.
Oh.
Because
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like when you're sad, like you don't eat food. Like
yeah.
I don't feel hungry when I'm upset, or like if I'm stressed.
But I was trying to explain like the rat that ate the food that has normal dopamine levels knows that when they eat that food, they're gonna feel good. But the one that doesn't was like, well, it doesn't matter if I eat this food or not. I'm actually not gonna feel good because I'm not getting the dopamine release, right? So it's more than just feel good, not feel good, because it's affecting literally how you react to, if that makes sense. So, like I mentioned, dopamine neurons also fire when an outcome is better than expected, supporting a reward prediction and learning.
Yep, and now we're going to relate dopamine to your mental well-being and all that. But dopamine is centrally involved in the reward and motivational circuits, and that's helping your brain learn the behaviors that are beneficial and worth repeating. And again, that dysregulation of dopamine is what leads to the so many different mental illnesses, and that could be related to ADHD, addiction, depression, schizophrenia, which is actually categorized by high dopamine levels. Whereas depression, there's like low dopamine levels. And it just kind of shows the importance of your mental well-being. A lot of people believe that mental illness is just about like, oh, I'm not feeling good, like, oh, something bad happened, so now I have depression. Like, none of that is like that. It's genuinely a chemical imbalance happening in your head.
Yeah, there's a physical, I mean, and not to say like you can have depression even if there's not a chemical imbalance, but a lot of times depression can be proved physically. Like you can like, or not proved, but you can actually have a, like it can be a physical
Majority time it's a chemical imbalance, and that's why mental illness is health. It is important to take care of your mind as well as your body.
Mm-hmm. It's not just I feel sad or like I feel depressed. Like yeah, you can feel depressed. That's I'm not saying you can't, but you can also feel depressed and have nothing wrong in your life.
Yes.
It could be because you are having a hormone.
And did you know that depression and all these mental illnesses are genetic?
Yeah.
Can be passed down.
Yep. And you can be more susceptible to certain
a lot of people are like, if you watch their marijuana episode, people who are susceptible to schizophrenia can actually cause schizophrenia if they were to smoke weed and stuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's mental illness is not something like that's a joke. It's not something that's like, oh, I'm sad today, like I'm not feeling good. Like no, it's like a genuine, like something could be physically wrong with your, like not wrong, but like physically something could be up with your mind, and going and seeing your doctor and getting the help you need is important.
I also want to reiterate this: mental health is not like, it's not a yes you have it, no you don't have it. It's a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it like in this analogy, right? So obviously different parts of the spectrum you deal with it differently. Maybe somebody that has a not a severe case of depression may not need like, or severe case of anxiety may not need anxiety medication, but somebody that has very severe case may need anxiety medication. Like you need to treat mental illness based on how bad or how good it is. Like it's not the same for everybody, right? The way I like to kind of explain this is you can injure your foot in multiple ways. You can sprain it, you can break it, you can fracture it, you can have a hairline fracture, you can have a big fracture. You change treatment plans based on how bad it is.
That's like a good analogy.
Right? Like when you have a sprain, you wrap it. When you have a broken bone, you have a cast. Like it's like your foot is still hurt, right? So you're still depressed, but you may not be as depressed, or you have to change it. And just because I'm not as depressed as you doesn't mean I'm not depressed.
And adding on to that, that's why you have to go to your checkups to your psychiatrist or whoever is dealing with your antipsychotic medications, and they adjust it, they readjust it, and they readjust it. And it's never going to be perfect. And it's like, you'll always come in and you'll be like, oh, I'm feeling great right now. And they're like, okay, let's lower your meds. And then once it's lowered, you could either feel even better or it could be feel worse, and that has to be readjusted. It's all about readjustment. I guess like your life will never ever go back to being the way it was, but it can be maintained, it can be managed. So
So a big question that I think a lot of people on social media have is, can you be happy without dopamine? Dopamine does not cause happiness. Like it does not just cause it. Happiness is a feeling, and it's part of many different complex networks involving serotonin, endorphins, GABA, and so many other things. Like feelings are not just, they don't just come from like one chemical. It's like the entire limbic system plays a part in bringing a chemical feeling into an emotional one, and then into a physical feeling. Does that make sense? Like emotions are very, very complex. Like you can have a high, like Shorty said, you can have a high dopamine level and it causes schizophrenia. It doesn't make you happy.
Yeah, people think like high dopamine level and it's like, oh, that's amazing, they're truly happy. No.
Right. So feelings, not just happiness, even sadness, they're complex. That's not just low dopamine levels equals sadness. That's not how it works. Or like high serotonin levels means you're more relaxed. No, that's not always the case, because feelings are complex. They come from multiple different areas and sectors of the brain.
Adding on to that, now we're going to talk about like how we mentioned like the high and low dopamine levels. The low dopamine levels can lead to a disease called Parkinson's disease, and that actually leads to motor defects. Like we said, dopamine is related to motor movements and all that, and it can lead to reduced motivation, fatigue, and difficulty to experience that reward. And Parkinson's is like the disease where you're like constantly moving your hands. I feel like that, not feel like that is what it is, and that's a categorization of low dopamine levels. So very important.
So on the other side of that, high dopamine levels, so excess dopamine signaling in the brain can sometimes lead to psychosis, schizophrenia and cause symptoms like hallucinations and delusions.
Very scary.
Mm-hmm. So you know what they say, like if you eat a healthy food, you need to always have the right amount. You can't have too much. Like if you say, oh, spinach is good for you, you can't just have spinach all day, every day, in every single meal. You know what I mean? Like there's like a good amount. Nothing too much is good. Nothing too less is good. That's how the entire brain system works too. Abnormally high dopamine function causes hypersensitivity and may also relate to risky or impulsive behaviors. Obviously, that does kind of relate because you're getting high dopamine levels because of a reward-driven state, so you're probably more likely to do things that are unexpected to cause a higher spike in dopamine because that's what you need. You feel like you need it. While dopamine also contributes to motivation, its deregulation can impair impulse control. So you can be more impulsive. If you have high dopamine, if you have abnormally high dopamine levels, which makes sense because schizophrenia, I feel like people that have schizophrenia or psychosis are a little bit more, quote unquote, impulsive because they don't.
Impulsivity is a symptom of schizophrenia.
Exactly. So that kind of makes sense because if you are chasing a high, like you constantly need a high of dopamine levels, the only way that you can get a new high, like, you know, for example, let's go back to substance abuse. You drink a shot of alcohol every single day. The first 2 times you get this really peak spike. After, your body's like, oh, okay, I'm getting this alcohol amount every single day, so
you're becoming tolerant to
your brain, so I think intolerant is like a weird word because what happens is your brain thinks that this is a norm, so it starts to regulate and be like, oh, I don't need a spike because this is what I get every day. So it just tries to maintain it. So it's your body is not being intolerant; it's trying to now incorporate this.
I think homeostasis is a great word for
yes,
this.
Yes.
I
it
think
puts
your
brain back into homeostasis.
I think your body, its whole point is to not kill you. So your body's not purposely like against you. It's like what you put in your body is what causes your body to react in certain ways and have to adjust and everything. But like Deetya mentioned with taking a shot of alcohol, your body is adjusting to this shot of alcohol all the time and getting that dopamine rise. So it is itself adjusting itself because it already knows it's going to get it. Once you get off of that,
now it's going to go so low.
And your body's not going to know what to do because it's so used to like adjusting for that. It's like, this leads to like so many different things.
Exactly. So in the same way, if you constantly have like a high dopamine level, you need something new to cause that extra high, which is essentially they're more impulsive.
And adding on to things that can be influenced by dopamine, some good things of dopamine, it's natural reward. Like we said, the food, the social interaction, exercise can trigger dopamine release. And learning and goal pursuit can also, trigger dopamine release as well and reinforce behaviors that lead to achievement and mastery.
With the whole exercise thing, I want to say something. Because food and social interactions, it kind of makes sense how you're getting a dopamine release. Exercise actually works on the opposite end. So remember how I told you that dopamine is a pain-pleasure scale? Exercise actually affects the pain side of dopamine, and then you get that pleasure reward later. That's why they say, I like to say, you will never regret going to the gym. Because, like, yes, you might feel bad in the moment, but I've never met somebody that's like, I went to the gym and I regretted it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever heard that? Like, I could take somebody that never works out and they're like, oh, I hate going to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym.
Like me, I hate going to the gym, but
if I take you to the gym, I make you do a workout, you might be like, oh, I hate that. And then I low-key you're never
I'm not going to regret it.
Exactly.
I think, I went to hot yoga with a friend, and I died. I think that was the worst experience of my life. It was just horrible. It was so hot and everything.
But you'd go again.
Yes, I would go again. I felt so good after. I was like, wait, this is nice. Like, I felt like
So what happens is you get that pain dopamine release first, then the pleasure comes after to balance it out. So dopamine, like any other chemical, it's on a scale. So if you have like pain, and then now you have to have pleasure amount to balance it out, right?
Exactly.
So you're getting that pleasure later. That is why it's also hard. You can get addicted to exercise actually. It's just really, really hard.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because you can get addicted to anything.
Oh, wow.
But I think I heard this on the Diary of a CEO podcast, but you actually can get addicted to exercise. It's just very uncommon because you get that pain first, then the pleasure.
So basically what Deetya talked about dopamine regulation levels, but you can also, like we said, the whole shaking shot of alcohol, drugs can also dysregulate the cycle and chronic stress or neuroinflammation.
Yes.
Okay, so can you get a dopamine supplement? There's not a simple dopamine supplement. That's why I was gonna ask as a follow-up. I was like, wait, like, can people just take it because they take vitamins, they take all the supplements you can in the world, but there is no such thing as a dopamine supplement. People that do have Parkinson's diseases, they already have low dopamine, so a thing called L-Dopa, also, how do you say it? Levodopa? Levodopa. It's a precursor that can enter into your brain and it gets converted into dopamine. So that's for Parkinson's. There's also something called antidepressants, and that is what people take that have depression, anxiety, chronic pain, and it just balances your neurotransmitters. But basically the whole process is, specifically with SSRIs, that's a serotonin one, so that's related to like anxiety, I would say, and depression. But basically it allows the serotonin to stay in your postsynaptic cleft, or it's something in the synaptic cleft really, okay? But it stays longer in there without being reuptake. So SSRIs will block serotonin from being reuptaked and back into the body in the whole process because people already have such a low serotonin level, and that drug basically allows them to stay longer before being taken up. But moving on, we're going to talk about doom scrolling and dopamine.
I also wanted to explain, there is no dopamine supplement. It's not simple, like you can't just take like dopamine. It's not going to go to your brain. The whole reason it doesn't is because it cannot cross that blood-brain barrier.
Which is also known as astrocytes.
Yep. So, big question. Doom scrolling dopamine, how does it work? Because I know everybody that doom scrolls feels like they're having a good time.
But you're not.
But you're not, and we are part of the problem. But essentially, dopamine gets released because of reinforcement. Okay, so you think social media feeds and operates on intermittent reinforcement schedules, which are known to increase dopaminergic reinforcement patterns. What that means is, yes, the first time you scroll, if you don't have social media, the first time you scroll, you're like, oh my god, like I'm seeing all these new things, right? Over time, your body's not actually feeling good, but it's getting reinforced that this feels good, this feels good, this feels good, so then it releases dopamine every single time. But it doesn't actually feel good. It doesn't actually feel good for your brain. It's kind of like your dopamine levels are like low-key lying to you.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, I think like sometimes like when we used to like take our practice tests, Deetya would be like, she told me, she was like, you remember you told me you like don't get on your phone during your breaks, and like you think you're resting but you're not.
Genuinely, my DHD studying was like peak me. Like I was like turned off my phone 30 minutes before bed, didn't get on it 30 minutes when I woke up. Like I was eating with that.
I used to get on, like when I study, like I take my break as I'm like getting on my phone.
Oh yeah. I did tell her. I was like,
she told me, she was like, don't get on your phone because you're getting more tired and you're just like,
you perform worse.
Yeah, and she's right. Like I noticed that, and whereas I like now I study, I'll put my phone away and I put it in a headphone case, okay? And I have the urge to go look at it for some reason. I'm like tweaking. I'm like, I need to go look at my phone. But now I feel like I'm doing more productive studying just simply because I'm not on it.
Yep, it's just because you're not getting as tired. It's not that your brain is literally rotting. It's just that it's getting tired. Like it's still, whether you're taking that practice test, even if you're tired and you're scrolling on your phone, it's the same thing because your brain is still being used. So functional MRI studies have functional MRI studies show that receiving social approval, like likes and notifications, activates the nucleus.
Oh, this makes you feel good.
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
Every time y'all watch an episode of ours, that makes us feel good.
Yeah, because we get a little like.
We get the little like.
But excessive digital engagement is associated with altered dopamine receptor availability and reward sensitivity patterns similar to behavior addiction. So what that means is you can get addicted to doom scrolling. That is a thing.
It's not good,
I think we might actually be addicted.
It's not good.
And then moving on. Exposure to emotionally negative or threatening content increases stress reactivity, and which can disrupt dopamine signaling over time. I want to talk about that for a second. Did you know that popular content creators, like people that tell stories, they want you to get mad. They like literally are rage baiting you because that makes you want to go into their account and watch the other parts.
I did not know that.
So like right here, it's the exposure to emotional negativity or threatening content increases stress reactivity, which can disrupt dopamine signals over time.
I'm dead.
You do get a dopamine release every time you watch one of those videos, but then it's like over time, it's like disrupting the entire cycle.
That's
so
crazy.
Chronic overstimulation of the reward system may reduce the baseline dopamine. That's what happens. You're getting this constant hike. What did you say?
Yeah, it's like a
peak.
Whoa, yo, you're done. Did you say pike for peak?
Yeah.
Oh, nah.
Anyways,
you're done. Pike. You're done.
But anyways, back to what you were saying. Yes, that is a real thing. I make content aside from WEvolve, and somebody actually told me, like, when we were working on content strategies, they actually did tell me, like, rage baiting is a real thing. It makes people watch their stuff.
So we're gonna rage bait y'all from now on.
Oh, nothing we say is rage bait.
Nothing we say is rage bait. So we're gonna do a quick summary of dopamine on stress hormones, depression, and ADHD.
Yep.
So, oh my god, can you hear my stomach? Okay, I need to get my dopamine release for the day. But basically, dopamine and stress hormone. It does, like Deetya said, the rage baiting. It relates to and it interacts with the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which we talked about in one of our episodes, and that regulates cortisol, which is considered the stress hormone. Acute stress will release increases dopamine release in the prefrontal cortex, but chronic stress will reduce that. And chronic stress induced dopamine dysregulation is linked to reduced motivation, and it's not good. That's not good.
Dopamine and depression. So
dopamine depression. Go for it.
So major depressive disorder is associated with blunted dopamine transmission in the mesolimbic pathways, contributing to the reduced ability to feel pleasure. Wow.
God.
Okay, so basically what that means is if you have distorted dopamine regulation cycles, you're not going to feel pain and pleasure like somebody that has a regular baseline and is having normal dopamine regulated cycles. You're just not going to feel them as good, or you might feel them too much. Like, you could feel something that's not as painful. No, I'm not talking about physical pain, by the way, guys. I'm not talking about like if I pinch you. It's more like...
No, I'm kidding.
It's more like mental pain. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you may feel sadness. Like you may take something that it's like if I get a B versus you get a B.
Yeah.
But your pathways. This is obviously like a very very simple example. But if your pathways are a little bit dysregulated, you might feel like that B is like the end of the world, and you might genuinely feel like that.
It's not.
Yeah. Even though we feel like that all the time, but
yeah.
That's different. We're pre-med. Like it's a little different.
It's okay. I came to college and I was like, you know what? A B's a B, and I'm gonna love my B. I'm gonna take it. I love my B. But
anyways.
Dopamine and ADHD is associated with a dysregulation of dopamine transmission, and it's involved in attention and executive function. And there are medications out there. There's something called Adderall, and Adderall is a medication that ADHD people take, and it improves your symptoms by increasing dopamine availability in the synapse. And dopamine deficiency and ADHD are linked to impaired reward processing and delayed reinforcement sensitivity. But there is treatment. There is medication. Your attention span it can be better. So
yeah. Can you fix your dopamine levels? There's not a simple yes or no answer. You cannot fix it.
Like we said, yeah. You can't go back to the way it was before, but you can definitely manage it.
Yes, you can manage it. With dopamine, I will say, though, it is a lot easier to fix the symptoms than to fix the actual chemical imbalance.
Yes.
Because we don't have a drug yet that can fix dopamine, or we would have found a cure for Parkinson's disease. But
hopefully in the future we do.
Yes. There are medications, psychotherapy, lifestyle changes, and treatment of underlying conditions that can affect dopaminergic systems, but we don't yet have a supplement or medication or injection that can fix the dopamine cycle in general.
Yeah, and there are so many ways to, I guess, support your dopamine levels as it is right now. Engaging in meaningful goal-directed behavior, maintaining regular physical activity, which I did not know that, and treating underlying stress and inflammatory processes. And all those things could add to your dopamine levels decreasing, but if you are maintaining it and making sure you're doing the things you want to do, you are good to go.
So actually, yeah, regular physical activity does maintain it, because remember we talked about how it's on the opposite side of dopamine?
Yeah.
That's how it helps maintain
Okay.
it. But I will say,
go on a walk. Okay, so to just wrap up about dopamine and the importance of it, it's not a happiness chemical. It is a motivation, learning, and reinforcement transmitter. And
both too little and too much can cause psychiatric disorders, like we talked about. And chronic stress, addiction, and excessive digital stimulation can dysregulate dopamine systems, whether that's high or low, depends on the person. But when I say, when you're doom scrolling, you're not actually feeling good. Your brain is literally lying to you because you're just reinforcing a pattern.
And there's different ways to maintain this dopamine levels. It could be physical activity, social bonding, social interaction, healthy goal pursuit, and stress regulation. And we cannot reinforce that enough. Taking care of yourself is the most important thing to do.
And I think lifestyle changes you can definitely make those changes. Yes, when you need medical help, it's different, because you can't just I will say not everybody can get medical help if they need it. It's fine. There's so many things that affect that, but everybody can start with lifestyle changes. You can start with something. So please start with lifestyle changes if you need it. Reach out to help if you need it. And yeah, that's pretty much all.
Thank you guys for watching today's episode.
Stay tuned for next week to watch our next episode. Bye, guys.